something I read where you talked about your people from Mount Vernon saying that, you know, like they've done like 40 years in the penitentiary together. So, and, you know, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the
I
legal
think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Lil Yummy. Lil Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father?
Yeah.
It starts in the house. It starts in the home.
Cody? You want some? Just a minute. Grandma will go with you. Sweet. He gives me a quick smile.
I don't think the hole left inside me where my father was meant to be is just gonna disappear. You know, and growing up fatherless, it's almost a norm for you. You don't feel different in terms of not having a father. You're used to that. Now when you go to a friend's house or other family member's house and you see them interacting with their fathers, that's when it starts to hit you. And you realize what you're missing, that you don't get that. You don't get that interaction. And you ask yourself why, you know, what did you do? What did I do to deserve that? To not to deserve the love, to be abandoned, to deserve it.
Yes. You live on the reservation? Say yes.
Yeah. Say yes. You live on the reservation?
Say yes.
My name's Cody Vogt, and I would have considered myself fatherless for the last 11 years. My parents divorced in 2006. Fast forward 3 years, and he remarries to my now current stepmother. And she had 3 kids of her own. From that point on, my step-siblings were my father's kids. We were his step-siblings. After my stepmom and her family came along, the already limited time and effort that my father had put in only began to decline. He tried, I think. At least I like to think he did. But as time went on, it just declined and declined into eventually nothing. I would say that's the point when it all really starts to hit you, you know, the feelings of insecurity, betrayal, the lack of self-respect, the inability to create and maintain and stay in healthy relationships. It's just, you feel like nobody can love you, that you're worthless. And I think the issue of fatherlessness itself, and the incredibly fast rate that it grew, from the 80s to the mid-2000s, it's skyrocketed. It's confusing. It's hard to say that there's not a fatherless culture being fostered in America. You look at other countries' rates of fatherlessness, and they don't even compare to cities like Flint or Detroit or any other very low-income, impoverished inner city, and their rates of fatherlessness are through the roof. And I think it does affect the crime rate. Absolutely, it's they're most definitely interlinked. Even in my personal experience, you know, the delinquency that comes with fatherlessness, you know, the susceptibility to substance abuse, to self-degradation, to so many different self-destructive tendencies. They're all there, and they're all prevalent in the fatherless culture. In cities like Flint, Michigan, where 37% of the population already live in poverty, the fatherlessness rates only seem to increase. According to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, female-led homes with no spouse had an alarming poverty rate of 47.6% in 2011. And according to the United States Census Bureau, Genesee County, the county in which Flint, Michigan falls within, had a single-parent household rate of 44% in 2019. There absolutely appears to be a positive feedback loop occurring throughout the fatherless hotspots like these. This feedback loop is what I would describe as the foundation of the fatherless culture. These fatherless children who develop in households of poverty, who are 7 times more likely to have children as a teen, which more often than not produces yet another fatherless child to only repeat the cycle. These fatherless children are 32 times more likely to run away and or be homeless, 20 times more likely to express behavior disorders, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up incarcerated. I think this idea of the fatherless culture that's been festering in the United States, it's gone unnoticed for being a problem that impacts so many youth across the nation. It's so under-publicized. You never hear anything in the news about fatherless household awareness or anything related to being fatherless or developing fatherless or anything remotely related. And when we look at things like crime rates, and we look at things like teenage pregnancies, and we look at things like suicides, youth suicides particularly, those are all directly related and heavily influenced. And there's no funding for it. There's minimal funding. There's minimal awareness. There's minimal media exposing this issue or discussing this issue. And it almost seems like anybody higher than those stuck in it don't care, you know. They don't care.